Washington has ignited a geopolitical firestorm. President Donald Trump is now openly declaring that anything short of United States control over Greenland is unacceptable, tying the Arctic territory directly to American national security, NATO's future, and the rising threat from Russia and China. In a stark and extraordinary statement, President Trump said the United States needs Greenland for national security purposes, insisting the territory is vital for the Golden Dome missile defense system currently being developed by the Pentagon. Writing on Truth Social, Trump argued that NATO should be actively pushing for the United States to acquire Greenland, warning that if Washington does not act, Russia or China will. Trump's language left little room for compromise. He claimed NATO would not be an effective deterrent without American military power, and said the alliance would become far more formidable if Greenland were in U.S. hands. Anything less than that is unacceptable, Trump declared.
The Foreign Minister of Greenland, she said a while ago in a press conference in an embassy of Denmark that she made very clear in the meeting that happened here in the White House what are their limits. She also said that it was a very respectful meeting. Are those limits going to be respected?
Well, we're going to see what happens with Greenland. We need Greenland for national security, so we're going to see what happens. They're going to brief me on the meeting right after this conference. In fact, the sooner I get you out, the faster I'm going to know exactly what happened. But we have a very good relationship with Denmark, as you know. We'll see. But, we're doing the Golden Dome. We're doing a lot of things, and we really need it. If we don't go in, Russia's going to go in and China's going to go in. And there's not a thing that Denmark can do about it, but we can do everything about it.
There's no more than what they can do than
Well, we're going to see. Look, we're going to see what happens, but we need it. I'm not the first one. This was talked about by President Truman, and 40 years before President Truman they were talking about it. They've been talking about this for 100 years. This is not anything so new. A lot of people don't realize that, but this was a hot subject. Probably not as hot as it is now, but it was a hot subject for a long time. We need it for national security, and that includes for Europe. And I spoke with, as you know, Mark, the head of NATO, and he really wants to see something happen.
The comments landed just hours before a sensitive White House meeting hosted by Vice President J.D. Vance, attended by Denmark's foreign minister, Greenland's foreign affairs representative, and U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. The talks produced no breakthrough. Denmark's foreign minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen described the discussions as frank but constructive, acknowledging that fundamental disagreements remain. While the parties agreed to form a high-level working group to search for common ground, Rasmussen made clear Denmark's red lines remain firm.
The whole idea and the reason why we asked for this meeting was to turn public debate in a very, black and white kind of setting into a discussion where there's room for nuances. And therefore I'm pleased, even though we do not agree whether this is doable, while we at the same time should respect the kingdom's red lines, at least it is productive to start discussions at a high level. And then we have to see whether we will be successful or not. I would say, and that is probably in comparison to some of the public debate, that the meeting took place in a very constructive atmosphere, where we also had, as I said, the opportunity to at least challenge the narrative presented by the American president. And I think that is a necessity if we want to have a proper debate. And therefore we will also continue to do what we already have done. We have been stepping up. We have allocated almost $15 billion within just the last couple of years to capabilities in the High North. We have been pushing among the Arctic NATO states for a bigger NATO engagement. Honestly speaking, and now I can only point fingers at the former American administration, US has historically been a bit reluctant. Hopefully that will change now. There's a dialogue within the NATO framework, and we want to step up, and hopefully that could also accommodate some of the president's concern. But it's not that I'm now, saying everything is solved. It's not solved. We didn't manage, but I honestly speaking, I didn't believe that was doable. We didn't manage to change the American position. It's clear that the president has this wish of conquering over Greenland. We made it very, very clear that this is not in the interest of the kingdom. There's a government in Greenland with support from 3/4 of the Greenlandic population. The premier made it very, very clear yesterday that Greenland, for the time being and for foreseeable future, will remain within the kingdom of Denmark. And therefore, this is a common position that we want to work with our American friends and allies, but it must be a respectful cooperation and it must respect the Reds.
What we have been saying that the meeting is been on a respect way, and we have shown where our limits are, and from there I think that it will be very good to look forward, and this high level group that is going to work together. As I'm already saying, that it's all our interest to find the right path.
It is, of course, very emotional for all of us, and of course, particularly for people living up in Greenland, but also for people in Denmark. And we both took the opportunity, of course, also to express that it is not easy to think innovative about solutions when you wake up every morning to different threats. Whether that will have an impact, I can't say for sure, but I can only say that it is in everybody's interest, even though we disagree, that we agree to try to explore whether it is doable to accommodate some of the concerns while at the same time respecting the integrity of the Danish kingdom's territory and the self-determination of the Greenlandic people.
Rasmussen stressed that Denmark believes long-term security can be ensured within the existing framework and warned that any ideas undermining Danish territorial integrity or Greenlandic self-determination are totally unacceptable. He said the sides had effectively agreed to disagree while continuing dialogue.
On behalf of Vivian and myself, we just want to thank you for this meeting, and not only this meeting, but for close, regular contact. And continuously strong support. We will meet again Friday in Copenhagen, so we will continue our discussion. And it is important that people in Congress and the Senate emphasize that, of course, everybody has to respect the UN Charter and the territorial integrity of the Kingdom of Denmark. Having said that, we know that we are in a different geopolitical situation in comparison with 10 years ago, when everybody believed that the Arctic should be low-tension area and everybody took the peace dividend. Things have changed, but we are also ready to step up. We have done that. We have invested almost $15 billion last year and the year before in capabilities in Greenland, and we are ready to do more. It should be done respectfully in a close cooperation with the Kingdom of Denmark and US and in the framework of NATO.
Speaking later from the Oval Office, Trump struck a more optimistic tone, telling reporters he had a good relationship with Denmark and believed something would work out, though he stopped short of softening his earlier demands.
Mr. President, on NATO, right now it sounds like you are saying that you would potentially acquire Greenland by force. That would be a NATO country. The United. Are you saying that? Would you do that?
No, you're saying that.
Would you
I didn't say it. No, you're telling me that that's what I'm going to do. You don't know what I'm going to do.
So what are the options?
Your network doesn't know either.
The Danish foreign minister said that there's still fundamental differences after the meeting with Rubio and with the vice president. Are you willing to leave the NATO alliance in order to get what you want with Greenland? What are the options right now?
Well, I wouldn't be telling you what I'm willing to do, certainly. I'm not going to give up options, but it's very important. Greenland's very important for the national security, including of Denmark. And the problem is there's not a thing that Denmark can do about it if Russia or China wants to occupy Greenland. But there's everything we can do. You found that out last week with Venezuela. There's everything we can do about things such as that. Not going to happen. We're not, I can't rely on Denmark being able to fend themselves off. They were talking about they put an extra dog, and they were serious about this. They put an extra dog sled there last month. They added a second dog sled. That's not going to do the trick.
Denmark fought alongside the United States in both Afghanistan
Thank you
and
for telling me
Iraq.
that. I appreciate it.
But
I have a very good relationship
they're
with
an
Denmark,
ally
and we'll see how it all works out. I think something will work out. Yeah, please.
The rhetoric has already drawn sharp resistance from Greenland's leadership. Earlier this week, Greenland's premier, Jens Frederik Nielsen, publicly rejected any suggestion of U.S. ownership, stating unequivocally that Greenland does not want to be owned, governed, or absorbed by the United States.
Greenland won't be owned by the USA. Greenland will not be governed by the USA.
Greenland won't be part of the USA.
We select the Greenland we know today,
and which is a part of the Kingdom of Denmark.
We are now facing a geopolitical crisis, and if we are to choose between the US and Denmark at this very moment,
So we choose Denmark. We choose NATO. We choose the Kingdom of Denmark. We choose the European Union.
Tomorrow, Greenland and Denmark will meet with the USA. We come together, we stay together, and we go together. We want dialogue and we want to cooperate. We are not looking for conflict, but the message we want to convey is very clear. Greenland is not for sale. We have made that perfectly clear right from the very beginning. Just as we, since the very outset of all these discussions, have explicitly told the Americans that if the primary concern is security, then there is significantly more that we can and absolutely must accomplish jointly, and we fully intend to reiterate this point during our meeting tomorrow.
Trump dismissed those remarks, saying he disagreed and warning that the premier's stance would become a big problem.
Greenland said today, we prefer to stay with Denmark. Do you see that as the
Who said that?
The premier of Greenland.
Well, that's their problem. That's their problem. I disagree with them. I don't know who he is. Don't know anything about him. But that's going to be a big problem for him.